Okay, this is Math 2, Unit 6. You do not have to write this on your paper, but I am doing homework notes, meaning we're going to do a few of these together. Okay, graphing and solving with different methods. Like I said, it's tying them all together. I am going to jump around, and we are going to start with number 5 first. I know you may think that's wonky, but we are going to start with number 5 first. Okay, it has here, solve the following problem 3 ways, 1 with each method. So I have this here, and I'm going to use that one function, and I'm going to solve it 3 different ways: factoring, quadratic, and completing the square. What should happen with all 3 methods? Should I end up with the same answer every single time? Yes. Okay, what's the first one they want us to use? Factoring. Now, you do not have to, but what have I said as far as if it equals 0, what can you do? Anyone? You can divide. Do you guys think you would remember that on the test, or probably not? Probably not? Okay, if we're not, then I'm going to leave it in there. Are you guys okay if we leave it in there? If you've got it, it's going to be easier if you get rid of it. If you remembered it, what would you divide everything by? 2. If you forgot it, I'm going to pretend I forgot. I'm going to pretend I forgot and factor. If you remembered it, get rid of it now. It's going to be easier. Okay, factoring. First thing I look for, is there a GCF? What is my GCF? 2. Leaving behind x squared minus 6x minus what? What is it? 2 double bubble. We spend a whole unit on this. We spend a lot of days on this. X, is it plus, plus, minus, minus, or one of each? What is it? Audrey, is it minus, minus, plus, plus, or one of each? Can you tell us why? You're right. I didn't hear that. Right here? The -7. The only way to multiply to a -7 is if one's positive, one's negative. The only factors of 7 are 1 and 7. Is that going to work to give me the -6? Which one must be negative? 7 and positive 1. When you do your inside outside, would that give me -6 in the middle? Yes? All right, so now we set each piece equal to 0. What was this? It was the something property. 0, remember the rest? The 0 product property. Okay, now I have 3 pieces here. I have the 2, the x plus 1, and the x minus 7. I said each one equal to 0. And we did talk about this before. Can 2 by itself equal 0? No. Do you guys agree 2 by itself cannot equal 0? So do I just cross it out? Could you have crossed it out right here? Yes, I need you girls paying attention, please. A number by itself cannot equal 0. If that were a 2x, can a 2x equal 0? Yes, if there's no variable, cross it out. Okay, you do not have to show this step. Some of you do this step in your head, which is perfectly fine. What are my 2 solutions? -1 and what? Positive 7? Yeah? Is that an ordered pair? No. If you want an ordered pair, it's -1, 0, 7, 0. This itself is not an ordered pair. I just want to ask, did anybody divide by 2 from the get-go? Yes. Was it easier? You probably did it in like 3 steps, 3 lines, got it over with. Same answer? Yes. All right, so if you remember it, it's great, it's easier. If you forget, you still get the same answer. Okay, quadratic formula. Are we ready? Yes? Okay. Do you want to use this original one or divide everything by 2? What would you guys most likely do on the test? I didn't hear you guys. Use the original? Okay, I'm going to use the original. I have it circled over here as well. What is A? What is B? -12. And what is C? 14. Okay, so we're going to do our quadratic formula. X equals the opposite of blank plus or minus the square root of blank squared minus 4 blank blank all over 2 blank. Whew. Okay, what do we put in the first blank, Diego? What goes in the first blank right here? Negative 12. Does everybody agree with him? Yes? Jackson, what goes in this blank right here? Do you remember the formula? X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of, what letter goes here? Anyone? What letter? B. B squared. So what would go here? Negative 12 minus 4ac. Desi, can you give me these two numbers here for the a and the c? 2 and negative 14 all over 2 times 2, right? 2a. Before I go further, did any of you divide it all by 2? Because you know you would remember that on the test. Okay, we're going to check if we get the same answer at the end. All right, x equals, opposite of negative 12 is positive 12, plus or minus the square root of, what's 12 squared? Okay, ignore the negatives. 4 times 2 is 8. What's 8 times 14? 112. What happens with the 2 negatives? Do they become a positive? Yes. All over 4. Now, it's been a while, but as tempting as it is, can I reduce these two? Yes or no? No, not until the very end. That's even if I can. Let's check. 12 plus or minus the square root of 144 plus 112 is 256 all over 4. Is 256 a perfect squared? Oh, is it? Let's try it again. 256 square root, what is it? 16. So I have 12 plus or minus 16 over 4. I'll have kids that write the square root of 16. Is the square root, does it need to be there still? Should it be there still? No, once I take the square root and it's a perfect square, that square root's gone. Can I leave my answer like this? No, they're like terms, so I do 12 plus 16 over 4, 12 minus 16 over 4, and what does that give me? Anybody, what's 12 plus 16? 28. And 28 over 4 is what? Is that my answer there? What do you think this one's going to come out to be? Let's test it. What's 12 minus 16? 12 minus 16 is 4 or negative 4? Negative 4. And what's negative 4 over 4? Negative 1. Did we end up with the same set of answers? Yes or no? Which of these two do you find easier? First or second? Factoring. Do you guys feel that factoring is easier than quadratic? Yes or no? Some are saying maybe. Okay. When it's an easy factor, would you agree factoring is easier? If it's a harder factoring and you can't figure out the numbers, will quadratic work? Which is why some people like quadratic, because they're like, oh, those numbers are too big, I can't figure out how to factor it. I'm just going to go with quadratic. Okay, last one, complete the square. Okay, now I will tell you this. On this one, if you are completing the square and it equals 0, it is going to be much easier if you divide out the 2. But I'm going to treat it as if you forgot, just in case, and you know how to do it on the test. What is this method called? Complete the square. What do I do first? At the 14, 2x squared minus 12x plus blank equals 14 plus blank. Okay. Can I, be careful, ladies, I need you to stop. Can I complete the square with that 2 there? No. I need everybody listening. Catch him. It's been a while. It's been a while, and you do need to know it for the test. Is everybody ready? I factor out a 2, not a 2x, just a 2. X squared minus 6x plus blank equals 14 plus blank. So this blank here was premature. I should not have put them there. I was not ready for them yet. Here is where I'm ready for them. I factor out the 2, 2x squared minus 12x, and then the blank. Cut the 6 in half and square it. What does that give you? Anyone? 9. And then do I put 9 over here? 2 times 9 is 18. And then you double bubble. Go ahead and do that now. Anybody have it? X minus what? What is it? 3. And I'm trying to solve, so what do I divide both sides by? And I'm going to pause here and tell you guys that all of this stuff is on the test. All of it. So you want to make sure you are paying attention. Now, will I give you one problem and tell you to solve it 3 different ways? No. But will you be given a problem and you need to decide which method you want to use? Yes. Okay. X minus 3 quantity squared equals what? Okay. If I'm solving, what do I do to both sides? Square root. X minus 3 equals plus or minus what? Are you writing this down? Okay. Plus or minus 4. And then I add what to both sides? X equals 3 plus or minus 4. What's 3 plus 4? And what's 3 minus 4? What is it? -1? Whew. Same answer all the way through. Did any of you guys do this by getting rid of the 2 first? Was it easier? I'm going to show you the work really quick. I got rid of the 2 on all of them, and do you see how much work I took? How much space? Is it easier if you get rid of a constant if you can? Yes, so please remember that. It's going to make life a little easier. All right, of these 3, which one do you feel is the easiest to work with if you can? Anyone? Okay. Why do I say if you can? Is every problem factorable? No. So when you can, I would go with factoring first. That's my suggestion. Some people be like, I don't like factoring. Then you're not going to use it. Okay, of these 2, of the quadratic and completing the square, which one would you rather use? Is it hard to say because that one had the 2? If you didn't have to factor out the 2, which would be easier? Complete the square or quadratic? Complete the square? Okay, so that is up to you. For me personally, I would factor first if I could. If not, I would complete the square if I could. If not, then I would go to quadratic. Quadratic would be my last choice. It may be your first choice, but right here, which method do you prefer and why? Go for it. Answer that. For me, I would say factoring. For you, it may be quadratic or complete the square. And if you got rid of the 2, you may feel like complete the square was easier. So go ahead and answer that question at the bottom. Okay. Are we ready to move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Okay. I'm going to move up to the top. Okay. Now, it says solve one part by factoring, one by completing the square, and one by quadratic for each problem. So one, we're going to do one quadratic, one complete the square, and one factoring. Now, if you feel like, well, I like quadratic and I want to do it on all, that is okay. But on this first set, I want to at least do one of each. Is everybody ready? I really need you guys paying attention. Okay. Will you have some like this on the test where it just says solve and it does not tell you which method to use? Yes. I need everybody listening. Okay. First off, yes.
Say it tells you to do it by one method, and if you do it the other, like another method, is that wrong?
Good question. If it's specific and it says solve using this method and you choose another method, is it wrong? The only one on the test where I force you to use a certain method is the quadratic. And not only do I force you to use it, it's the one that's set up like this. And I've been telling you guys this was going to come up. Do you remember this? Like it'll say fill in the blanks. Now if you're filling in the blanks, are you being forced to use quadratic? Yes. And it'll say after you fill in the blanks, solve. After that, everything else is your choice. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So on this one, you'd have to, because part of the answer is filling in the blanks. And then the next step is working it out. All right. So can I give you guys some suggestions on how to do these when you're working them on your own? Is everybody ready? Okay. First thing I would do, I would look for the ones that have a leading coefficient of 1. That's where I would start. Okay, which one has a leading coefficient of 1? A. A and C. Next thing I would look at is, of those two, which one factors? It may be neither of them, but hopefully one does. Does one of them factor? I'm going to let you guys try it on your own. What times what is 9 that can add up to 4? What times what is 15 that would add up to 2? Don't blurt it out. Just see which one is factorable. If either, because it may not be either. From A to C, A and C, because those are the ones that have a leading coefficient of 1. Raise your hand if you figured out which one's factorable. Okay, 1 person, 2 people, 3, 4, 5. Which one is it? Is it A? What times what is 9? 1 and 9 or 3 and 3? Would either of those give me 4? Okay, what about C? Does C work? Okay, so that is my suggestion. Look at the ones that have a leading coefficient of 1 and then see which one can I factor. So I'm going to put a factor here. Okay, that leaves these two. Of these two, I would only want to complete the square with one that has a leading coefficient of 1. Which one has a leading coefficient of 1? A. Now, one more thing. I would only want to complete the square if my middle number is even, because I want to cut it in half and square it. Is this one even? Yes, so this would be my, I'm going to put CS. What does CS stand for? Or CTS. What does CTS stand for? Complete the square. Which leaves this one for what? Quadratic formula. All right, I'm going to have you guys do that now. In my order, I would factor that one, then I'd complete the square, and I'd save quadratic for last because it's my least favorite. If it's your favorite, do it first. Or go from left to right, but I want everybody working. Is anybody doing C first? Yeah, is it minus, minus, plus, plus, or one of each? One of each. I'll at least write that down. Does anybody have the numbers? Positive what? Positive 5 and negative, oh, positive 3 and negative 5? positive 3 and negative 5. Does that work, guys?
Yeah.
Positive 3x, negative 5x, negative 2x. How many of you can look at this without any extra steps and tell me what the answers are? Yes.
I did -3 and 5.
Negative 3 and 5. Ordered pair, yes or no? No. But if you did show the work, x plus 3 equals 0, x minus 5 equals 0, subtract, you get negative 3, add, you get positive 5. Did anybody get that ahead of me? And do you agree it was really easy? Okay. Now this one is the one I suggested you complete the square. So what would you move over first? Okay, I heard add 9. Now on this one, do I have a number to factor out, or can I go straight to cutting the 4 in half? Straight, right? 4 cut in half, squared, 4 on each side. And there's no number to multiply out there, so I'll let you guys continue. Are you going to end up square rooting both sides on this one eventually? Yes. All right. Did you guys finish this one off? What is it? X plus what? 2x plus 2. Can I write that as quantity squared? Equals, what's 9 plus 4? And then I'm solving, so what do I do to both sides? Square root, square root. Please stop the talking. Undo, x plus 2 equals, where did I mess up? Plus or minus. And then I minus the 2 over, are these like terms? No, so how do I write my answer? X equals negative 2 plus or minus root 13. Did any of you work ahead of me and get that answer on your own? Yes? Good, good, and good. All right, which leaves this one right here in the middle to be what? Quadratic. Oh, the suggestion I have for you is, remember, if you can divide out a number, do it. Can I do it on this one? Is there a number that goes in 2, 3, 7, and 5? All right, so it doesn't help me on this one, but if it did, you should do that first. It needs to equal 0, does it? What is A? What is B? That's a negative 7. And what is C? All right, don't forget you're not doing the back side. I don't want you guys doing the back side. Don't cross it out because we'll try to do some of it eventually. X equals negative blank plus or minus the square root of blank squared minus 4 blank blank. All right, start to fill it in and do the work. working, guys.
You gotta have the pros and cons of this. Why wouldn't you want to say
Yes.
All right. Did you guys finish it off? Is that a yes? Andrew, can you give me the numbers that go in here? Opposite of?
-7.
Okay, here.
-7.
4 times
3.
times
-5.
over 2 times.
3.
Everybody agree with him? Yes? X equals 7 plus or minus the square root of 49 plus or minus, once I multiply these three numbers together. A negative and a negative is going to make a, and what does that come out to multiply to? 60 all over 6. X equals 7 plus or minus the square root of, what, anybody know what 49 plus 60 is? 109, and it's, I have no more room, so I'm going to have to scooch that over. All over what? And does the 109 break down into any pairs? Yes or no? No. 7 plus or minus the square root of 109 all over 6. Nothing reduces. That there is your final answer. Did anybody work ahead and get that on their own? Yes? Good. Okay. I'd like to, on the next one, at least make suggestions and then you decide. Okay. Looking. Which one has only one X in the front? B and C. Quickly glance and see if either one of those are factorable. B, does B factor into what? 30 would factor down. What are the factors of 30? 2 and 15. Would that work? Yes or no? 2, no, because that would be 13. What's 15 minus 2? Would it be 12? Okay, guys. Does this one factor? Or is it too big of a number for you to realize if it factors? Okay, let's jump over here. Can anybody tell me, does this one factor? No? Okay, so if you feel like, oh, I can't tell, I'm not going to worry about factoring on this one, is that okay? I would complete the square where I can. These both have a leading coefficient of 1. Would I complete the square on B or C? Why B and not C? Because C has what in the middle? An odd number, the 19. Do I want to cut that in half and square it when it's an odd number? Yes or no? So I know for sure I'm going to complete the square on letter B. These two, I will tell you this. Are you ready? One or both of them are factorable. At least one or both are factorable. If you can't figure out which one or you don't want to waste your time, could you use quadratic on both? Yes. If you can figure out which one is factorable, could you factor if you wanted to? Yes. Can anybody tell me on 3, A, B, or C, which one we should complete the square on? It has to have a 1 in the front and an even number in the middle. A 1 in the front. Does it have a 1 in the front? How about B? Complete the square. A 1 in the front, an even number in the middle, and that is not factorable. Are we good? Oh, last hint. What can you do on C that I suggest you do and remember? Divide everything by 3. It's going to make it easier, so please try to remember that. x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0.